Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. I'm at the Heritage Auctions Gallery in Dallas, Texas. There's a signature sale coming up August 22nd. And in these cases back here, they've got some really interesting and valuable and rare video games that are going to be up for sale. So I'm going to show you those and talk a little bit about them and talk about some of the prices that they're expected to go for. So let's check it out. Even if you're not into sealed game collecting or graded game collecting, I think you'll find this interesting. Sealed copies of some of the greatest PS1 games. Check out this big box copy of Resident Evil on the PC, expected to go for $2,000 or more. That's just minimum. Castlevania Legends, one of the harder to find games in that series. Sealed copies are really tough. That one's expected to go for $27.50. You got Pocket Monsters, you got Pokemon Emerald version. Check out this OG Game Boy. That one is expected to go for at least $10,000. Yeah, the original Game Boy is not rare. They made a ton of them, but sealed boxed copies like this, yeah, very tough to find. Hey You Pikachu, you guys remember this game? It was interesting. It included the voice recognition unit and microphone. It was pretty cool, expected to go for at least $3,000. GameCube, an unopened GameCube, $5,000, first production. The purple version, Indigo, I believe, yeah. That was the OG GameCube before they started making other colors like black and some other colors like that. The Atari Lynx, rarely do you see this game system sealed. I love the Atari Lynx and the Game Gear compared to the Game Boy because of the color graphics and the bigger system. Actually preferred. This one's expected to go for at least $3,000. Check it out. It's graded 90 Near Mint Plus by VGA. Really nice looking there. And an NES console, guys. Check this out. This is unopened. Boxed NES systems, you know, go for a decent amount, but you got an unopened one here. And as you can see by the little card, this one's expected to go for at least $50,000. I know these prices seem, you know, a little confusing to some, but it has everything to do with the fact that they're factory sealed, unopened, and in just high demand. We've got the collector's edition of Ocarina of Time, widely acknowledged as one of the greatest video games ever, $7,500 or more. And we've got a minimum of $5,000 on Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, 9.9 A++. The A++ refers to the seal grade, which is pristine here. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. I know there are several Saturn games in this sale that have a perfect score from CGC. Really interesting to see. That one's expected to go for $2,500. And then Mortal Kombat. You guys know the Genesis version had the blood code, and it was rated MA13 before the ESRB ratings. There's a mint copy right there, expected to go for at least $5,000. Castlevania 2, I've done a video on this game on my channel, how I was disappointed by it because I like the first action-packed Castlevania, and then this one went in a non-linear direction. Still a great game though, and I've still got mine in my collection, expected to go for at least $6,000. Check out Demon's Crest, a sort of an offshoot of the Ghost and Goblins series. That's a tough game to find, especially sealed, and that one's looking to go for at least $5,000. These are just minimums. These games will likely go for quite a bit more than that. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, one of my favorite games on the Atari. The Super Nintendo came out in 1991, the year the console was released. And so check out Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, expected to go for at least $4,000 there. And Super Castlevania 4, another early favorite of mine on the Super Nintendo. Look to go for at least $4,000 there. Battlezone Rise of the Black Dogs. Not a one you see every day for the N64. It's got a really nice Wata grade there. Supposed to go for at least $1,000. And Mario Party. The box art on this has always thrown me off because it looks like Mario Party 3 with that block there, but it's Mario Party. Kicked off a killer series of games. That one's expected to go for at least $15,000 with that 9.8 and the pristine seal. Check out this copy of Mario 64 No, Mario 64 is not rare, but sealed copies are in high demand, and that one's expected to go for at least $15,000. You've got Stunt Racer 64 here, a legitimately hard to find game on the console, expected to go for at least $7,500. You got Donkey Kong Country, maybe my favorite Super Nintendo game after Mr. D, of course. I've got that for $7,500. Love playing that game, the 2-player co-op with my wife. And then you've got the Nintendo 64, the Fun Machine. Now this is a near mint example that's uncirculated, meaning it's never appeared on store shelves. This is the bundle edition. Let's see, check it out guys. That one's expected to go for at least $10,000. This is one of the most interesting lots in this auction. It's an unopened Super Nintendo launch edition. First production of this console, expected to go for at least $15,000. Now the grade is a little lower than some of the other items in the sale, but it's hard to keep these big boxes in excellent condition over the years, and there's just more surface area to get damaged. But yeah, that's the Super Set with Super Mario World. And yeah, I remember getting my Super Nintendo at the first price drop. I didn't buy it right away. I waited till the first price drop and then got mine, and absolutely loved it with Super Mario World. One of the greatest games of all time, for sure. And the console wars were so interesting because Super Mario World was kind of a slower, more methodical game. And then Sonic, first, in some people's opinion, blew it away because it was faster and slicker, and Sonic had sort of an edgy attitude, and Mario was kind of seemed as stodgy at this point by some gamers, but of course I love them both. Expected to go for at least $15,000, and I imagine it'll go for quite a bit more than that. And remember guys, it's all about the condition and being unopened and how many are left in that type of condition, how many unopened copies are around. Not many in this case. This might even be the only unopened launch edition of the Super Nintendo in existence. Now, positioned out front in the cases, you've got a game that's widely acknowledged to be very rare on the NES, Panic Restaurant, a really nice copy, expected to go for at least $15,000. Yeah, that is a really rare game for the console. And you might be thinking, Super Mario 3 is not rare, but if you've got a Left Brothers, see the Left Bros there, that was the first iteration of that game before they moved Bros over to the right for aesthetic purposes. So yeah, this is first production, expected to go for at least $25,000. Super Mario 3 is amazing. I know a lot of you guys first experience seeing that game was watching The Wizard in theaters. The movie, you know, you saw the Power Glove, Super Mario 3, and while some people say it's basically a commercial for Nintendo, I think it's an entertaining movie. And over here, buy some Pokemon cards and an uncut sheet of Neo Genesis uncut sheet, expected to go for at least $500. You've got some Pokemon games, including original Japanese copies. Pocket Monsters Pikachu there, really cute. And let's see, this one's here supposed to go for at least $500. And you've got Pokemon Red version, $35,000 minimum. And yeah, that's a really nice copy of that. And over here you got Pokemon Blue version, and it's supposed to go for at least $1,000. The thing with this one, it's got the Rattata screenshot on the back. That indicates that it's a second production. And you've got Pokemon Ranger Vatanage. Interesting there, supposed to go for at least $500 on the DS. Yeah, it's not just the older vintage games. It's, you know, games up to the Switch are graded, and even the PS5. Pretty cool here. We've got Pocket Monsters Sapphire, expected to go for at least $1,200. Got another DS Pokemon game here. Pokemon Coliseum for the GameCube, supposed to go for at least $1,000. And then last but not least, Pokemon X. Well, there you have it, guys. Just some of the games that are coming up in the August 22nd signature sale with Heritage Auctions. You can find these at ha.com if you want to see bigger pictures and more games from this sale. Pretty wild that video games have gone from just sort of like game collecting in the 90s. It was just sort of almost an underground hobby because most people got rid of their old stuff in garage sales or thrift stores or just threw them in the trash, you know, once the new systems would come out. But These retro games, now these vintage games in a lot of circles are considered very collectible, especially sealed, unopened, some of the rarer stuff. You can still retro game on the cheap through emulation or cart only or disc only or whatever, but yeah, video games have become like comic books and baseball cards and coins as far as there being, just this really elite collector status for certain titles. All right, guys, let me know in the comments if you collect sealed or graded games or if you just don't quite get it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll talk to you guys in another video.